Lee is a biographical drama directed by Ellen Kuras in her directorial debut, from a screenplay penned by Liz Hannah, John Colley, and Marion Hume, and story from Hume, Colley, and Lern Dobbs, adapted from the 1985 biography The Lives of Lee Miller by Anthony Penrose. The film follows the true story of photographer Elizabeth Lee Miller, a fashion model who became an acclaimed war correspondent for Vogue magazine during World War II. This review will be spoiler-free. The film stars Kate Winslet as Lee Miller, with Marion Cotillard, Andrea Riseborough, Andy Samberg, Josh O'Connor, and Alexander Skarsgård in supporting roles. Winslet is absolutely the reason to see this film. She is amazing in this. We all know that Kate Winslet is amazing, but I think that this is actually one of her best performances that she has ever given. If you know what the real Lee Miller looked like, then you know that Winslet doesn't really resemble her. However, her accent is so effortless and her disposition is unlike anything I've seen from Winslet. You believe everything from scene one. The biggest praise I can give the film is Winslet's performance. It shines above anything else. The movie took 8 years to make, and at one point, due to precarious funding, Winslet paid the entire cast and crew's salaries for 2 weeks. Winslet is also one of the producers on the film. This all clearly indicates that this is a film she was very passionate about. I am happy to see Josh O'Connor in more and more things, but the standout supporting performance here is Andy Samberg. How great to see Samberg in a serious role. I wouldn't have imagined it, but we do now need more of it. Ellen Kuras is competent in her directorial debut, but the film really lacks flavour. I understand that this is often par for the course when it comes to war films. Due to their obligation to being historically accurate, they are rarely stylized and usually present things in a bland and uninteresting way. But this is the test of a war film director. Can you give it flavour? We have seen many great examples over the years, such as Apocalypse Now or Full Metal Jacket, which prove that you do not have to shoot war films in a clinical way that lacks adventure. Now, of course, I don't expect it to be as great as those films, but there are plenty of examples that are not masterpieces that still manage to make their stamp on the genre. The cinematography has the film looking more like a straight-to-streaming movie than something worthy of the big screen that I saw it on. However, this doesn't aim to be a traditional war film. It aims to be a character study, not only of Miller as an artist, but of the whole idea of being a woman in this time period. Miller was a trailblazer. She told it like it was. She was free-spirited, she was brash, she spoke her mind, and she did not take no for an answer. In spite of all of this, she was a very troubled individual who used sex, drugs, cigarettes, and alcohol to cope with the traumas of her life. However, Miller owned all of this and lived her life to the fullest. And the greatest aim of this movie is to enlighten audiences, to show them how beautiful she was and how much of a powerhouse she was. She took some of the most striking war photos that I have ever seen. Each photo tells a story. What disappointed me about this film is that despite its dedication to realizing Lee Miller as a deep and well-rounded character, the film is uninspired in its structure and its style. We have seen countless war films that present the protagonist as an elderly narrator taking you through the story. We occasionally cut back to present day for unsubtle and flippant remarks about the war that embarrass the interviewer. We have also seen countless feminist films that present a progressive character in a conservative time period who lights fires wherever she goes. We have seen it all before, and we've seen it done better. The film predictably ends with the short paragraphs explaining what happened to each of the people, and then we get to see all of the real versions of the photographs that Miller took in the film. Like I said, the photos are incredible, but this structure for historical films makes me groan. as we have seen it so many times in recent memory that no matter how sincere it might be, it always appears a little insincere to do it this way. The themes that the film deals with can be a little jumbled. It is juggling a lot to do with oppression of women in the early 1900s, but it doesn't present some of these themes until later, which prevents them from making an impact as they should. The first half of the film is largely concerned with plot, and you really start to examine Lee Miller as a character a little bit too late in the back half. The film should have tried to focus solely on character and less on retelling her life, just to fully drive home what it is trying to say. The film is called Lee after all, so it is really about examining her. However, she appears at arm's length a lot of the time. I suppose that's how she was in real life. I don't think Lee is a great title, if I'm honest. They could have come up with something more interesting. Even the book title would have been better. Aside from Kate Winslet's great performance, I found this film to be assembled in a very bland and generic manner. I will say that I thought that the film had a good ending that I didn't really expect. Overall, I enjoyed the film well enough, but I think you would get just as much, if not more, out of Lee Miller's story from a documentary.